All right, the irrational conjugates theorem on page 28 basically states that, in a nutshell, it's going to say something like if 1 plus the square root of 3 is a solution, then 1 minus the square root of 3 is also a solution. Okay? And these are conjugates of each other. Basically, conjugates is a very highfalutin word that basically means, hey, they're the same except for the plus or minus in the middle of it. All right? So like 2 minus root 17 and 2 plus root 17. That sort of thing. Those are conjugates. And here, what this is basically telling us is, hey, remember when we did quadratic equation, and you got a plus or minus the square root of something at the end? Like you might have gotten something like this. All right, that's why. Because if you get the plus side, you're also going to get the minus side. That sort of thing. So basically, if you know you have one, well, then you know you have the other. All right, that's where this goes. All right, so the rest of this period, what we've been doing is we've been taking polynomials and breaking them out to their factors. We've been cutting them down to pieces. All right, today we're going to be taking those pieces and multiplying those back up to the polynomial that we started with. Okay, so the same material, but we're going the opposite direction. Okay, so this is not a factoring day, even though you're probably going to want to at some point. So problem 4, write a polynomial of least degree with a leading coefficient of 1 and the given zeros. Basically what that statement says is don't overthink it. Just give us something with these solutions. Okay? So if I have those 3 solutions, I'll zoom into the 3. I know, so if I got the 3, I know that x minus 3 is one of my solutions. I mean, think of it this way. If you got x minus 3 as a factor, x minus 3 equals 0, move the negative 3 over, it becomes a 3. Right? All right. So if x minus, we know that, x minus 3, the negative 2 means I have one that says what? X plus 2, exactly. That would be for the minus 2. Because if you set that equal to 0, x plus 2 equals 0, move the 2 over, x equals negative 2. All right? You don't need to write that down. That's just my musing. To go away? Nope. All right. Last but not least, if you had a 0 out front, what did that mean you have? What kind of factor gave you a 0? You remember? Yeah, or if you just have an x out front, even if it's like a 4x, it was a 0. But this is what they mean by with a leading coefficient of 1. That basically means, hey, there's nothing out front other than the x, if there is one. There might not be one, okay? But if we have an x out front, that means we have a root or a solution at 0. Cool? So basically the format is this. Whatever your solution is, do x minus that solution. Cool? If it's a negative solution, well, 2 negatives make a positive. If it's a positive solution, well, then it's negative. If it's a 0, well, x minus 0 is just x, right? So that's kind of another way of looking at where that came from. Cool. All right, so from here we just multiply things out. All right, so I'll take that guy. Nope, it helps to use a marker, not an eraser. X minus 3. And start multiplying. So what's negative 3 times 2? Negative 6. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Then do the x. X times 2 is 2x, and x times x is? Good. And then what do we do from there? You add them up. So we got an x squared. How many x's do you have?
2.
We got 2, but I got a negative 3 and I got a positive 2. Those add up to negative x. Good. And then I got a negative 6. Cool. Are we done?
No.
Okay, what else you got to do? Well, we multiplied the x minus 3 and the x plus 2. What are we missing? Let's do it a different way. I have multiplied that and that. What have I not multiplied? The x out front. I can multiply that by x, which x times x squared is x to the third. Negative x times x is x to the... And negative 6 times x is? Cool. Are we done? Is there anything else to multiply by? No, we're done. So here's the deal. This polynomial has those three solutions. That was the goal, is to create a polynomial that has those as solutions. Cool?
Yes.
That's the gist of today. Any questions about that? Okay. Let's ramp it up a little bit. Nobody groaned. Interesting. All right, letter B. So let's look at letter B real fast. Real fast. If I have 2 and 3 minus the square root of 17, what other factor do I also have? Another solution, I should say. Give you a hint, it starts with a 3. Plus the square root of 17. Remember, that's that irrational conjugates theorem that we had earlier. Okay, if you have something plus or minus a root, you have the other version as well. Okay, so if you have one, you have the other. If they gave you the 3 plus, well, then you know you have the 3 minus. Cool? All right, and then we're going to follow that same pattern that we did earlier. It's going to be, x minus whatever that solution is. So we can start off with x minus 2. Okay? The next one's a little creepier looking. We're going to do x minus 3 minus the square root of 17. Why the second set of parentheses? Because we're subtracting the entire piece, not just the 3. Okay? And this is why I use the brackets right here. The second one will be x minus 3 plus the square root of 17. This one on the right means the same thing, but which one would you rather look at? Well, neither is an acceptable answer, but yeah, the brackets it's really just a visual thing. That's the only reason for the brackets. Cool? So that you can see this is one big group, this is one big group. Cool? All right, so here you go. Where do we go from here? We need to get rid of, the goal is to get rid of these roots. We have to find a way to get rid of those roots, and that's a little tricky. So here's what we're going to do. First things first, we're just going to get rid of that negative. We're going to distribute that negative to get rid of the parentheses. So we've got x minus 2, a bracket, x minus 3 plus root 17, just distributed that parenthesis, that negative, distributed the negative. And then we're going to distribute the negative. Again, we'll get a negative 3, but this time we'll get a negative 17, square root of 17. Cool? I just got rid of those parentheses. Now here's the trick. Okay, it's not really a trick. It's a pattern that you have used, just not from this direction. Okay, so we've got this x minus 3 over here. I'm going to group it together. And now, do you notice that we have an use blue, an x minus 3 on the left, and a square root of 17 on the right? Do you see that? All right. That means I can basically unfactor this and write it like this. X minus 2, x minus 3 squared, minus 17. And that gets rid of the radical. Okay? Here's what we did with that. It's a pattern you've already seen, like I said before. The pattern is this. If I have, come back. If I have x squared minus 9, forget all this to the left for a second. If I have x squared minus 9, what does that factor down to?
3.
3, but how would you write them?
X minus 3
and x plus 3. Okay? Yeah, you've seen this. We have done this at least 24 times in the past month. Okay? And that's all right. So, but you notice how we have an x squared on the left. We have an x minus 3 squared on the left. And that broke down to an x and an x. We have x minus 3 squared, and that broke down to an x minus 3. It's the same pattern, just has an uglier x. You follow? The same thing on the right. We got a -9 broke down to a -3 and a +3. We just have a -17 broke down to a, well, I can't take the root of it, so I just put √17 and -√17. Okay? It's that pattern, but backwards. Okay? Now, if you don't see the pattern, I get it, I understand. Maybe you will later, but for the time being, just think, oh, put the parentheses up there, combine the left and square it, combine the right, and get rid of the radical. Okay? That's the bottom line. If that's all you can, if that's all you see here, that's okay. All right? There you are. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How come you put a negative, not a positive?
Good question. Well, that's a +17 and a -√17. You follow me? Negative and positive is a negative. But good question. They ask that every period. All right, let's keep going. From here, honestly, if you've made it this far, it's, I hate to say cakewalk, but it's downhill from here. It's everything you've done before, nothing new. What I'm going to do is I'm basically going to start multiplying everything out. Just do your PEMDAS. Start inside and work out. So I'm going to multiply this x minus 3. Square it. So I'll go over here. X minus 3 times x minus 3. And 3 times 3 is what? 9. -3 times x is -3x. And then multiplying by x just raises the exponent. That's all that does. So you got x squared minus 6x plus 9. That's for that one piece right there. Cool, so we've got x minus 2, x squared minus 6x plus 9 minus 17. Okay, it doesn't look pretty yet, but it's looking better. Okay. What else can we do? Good, we can combine the 9 and the 17. The 9 and the -17, which 9 minus 17 is what? -8. So, no, you don't have to rewrite the whole thing again, but for the sake of your notes, I would. So that when you, if you go back and look at this, you go, oh yeah, that's what I did right there. Cool. I forgot my parentheses. And we're still in the mode of multiplying everything out, so what am I going to multiply last? Any guesses? The x minus 2. So 2 times 8 is what? 16, so it's a positive 16. 2 times 6 is? 12, so 12x. -2 times x squared is -2x squared. And again, multiplying by x just raises the exponent, so that's x cubed minus 6x squared minus 8x. And then add. So I have an x cubed. How many x squareds do we have? -8. How many x's do you have? Huh? How many x's do we have? 4. Plus 16. And that is your final answer. That polynomial has those as its solutions. Do you need me to zoom back in? Yeah, okay. Sorry. Is that better? Cool. All right, so here's the deal. Remember how I said yesterday that Algebra 2 is more about stamina than anything else? If we teach you nothing else, that is one of the things we're going to get through. Is if you're going to make it through the class, you're going to be making it through bigger and bigger problems. Now, this is one of the bigger ones we're going to be dealing with for a while. Okay? So not everything is going to be like this. Take that into consideration. All right? But things like this are going to pop up. All right? They're going to pop up. Also, this is another lesson. If you haven't figured out how to write organized yet, then you're screwed straight up. Okay? If you're still one of those that kind of writes all over the place, you got to get some lined paper and just write it as organized as you possibly can, or you will be lost. Bottom line, I'm sorry. There's just no way around it. Cool? Any questions on this? Let's do another one. I know, that's exactly what you wanted to hear, isn't it? I'm like, yes, Mr. Hunter, can we do another one? All right, letter C. All right, so letter C. If I have 1 minus the square root of 5 as one solution, what would another solution be? Good, 1 plus the square root of 5. Okay? And so first things first, write out your factors. So instead of a 4, I can write what? Minus 4, good. And then I'll break out the brackets, and we're going to go x minus the first factor, first solution, 1 minus root 5, and x minus 1 plus root 5. Cool? All right, if you have to flip your packer over to check, do so. What did we do next? We distributed the negative, exactly. I took that negative and multiplied it by everything in those parentheses. So, bring down your x minus 4. And then we had x. What comes next?
X minus 1
Okay,
plus square root of 5.
good. Okay, so break out your brackets. Then we had x, what again? Minus 1 and? Good. We just distributed that negative. I'll slide it up there. Okay. What did we do next?
We put them in parentheses, the x minus 1.
Good. We put that left side, this x minus 1, we put it in parentheses. We kind of grouped the left side and the right side together like this. So we can bring down the x minus 4 again. It's just coming along the right. What are we going to write on the left?
X minus 1 squared.
Good. X minus 1 squared. Then what's going to come next? It's not negative square root of 5. It's negative. It's just the 5. Good. Think of it this way. The square root of 5 times the square root of 5, it's just that squared, right? And the squared cancels out the root. All right, so that was the goal of this. We have to find something to get rid of that square root. Getting it like this and then pulling it together like this gets rid of the square root. That is the purpose of this step. You follow me? So it's not just random. This is the only way you can do it because Mr. Hunter says so. Sorry, it's not that. I kind of wish I had that much power, but I really don't. Not even at home. I'm sorry. It's just how it is. Don't tell my wife I said that. Actually, you can. She'll just go, yeah, it's totally true. All right, so where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? We did start combining things together, but like before we can combine anything, what did we do in here?
X minus 1 squared.
Yeah, we took this x minus 1 and squared it. Exactly. And I just went over to the right. And then if you don't have to go over to the right and do it, that's fine, but wherever you have room. So 1 times 1 is 1, negative x squared, x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay, I trust you can do that part, so I'm just flying through it real fast. Okay? If you can't do that, let me know. We'll work on that. But x minus 4, and we'll replace that in. X squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 5. Okay. What did we do next?
1 minus 5.
1 minus 5. Okay, 1 minus 5 is what? Negative 4. So x squared minus 2x minus 4. Again, I don't care if on your homework or on a test, you just kind of erase that and put a negative 4 there. I don't care. I'm just doing this for the sake of looking at it later. All right, there's one more thing to do. What did we do?
X minus 4.
Good. We got to multiply by that x minus 4. So 4 times 4 is what? So that's a positive 16. 4 times 2 is? 8, so 2 negatives make a positive. Negative 4 times x squared is? Negative 4 times x squared is? Anybody? Good. I know I'm frying you. You can tell you're frying a class when you say, what's 2 plus 3? And they're like, 17? Like, or 2 plus 3, 23. That's 2 plus 3, 23. And that's all right. I get it. Multiplying by x times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 2x is negative 2x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. Again, I trust you would have gotten that eventually. And then you just combine your terms. All right? So x cubed minus 6x squared plus 4x plus 16. And that, again, that has the solutions that were given to us above. All right? Now, the original statement, the original instructions, when we kind of walk through that a little bit, the original instructions say, write a polynomial of least degree. Basically, hey, don't multiply it by an extra x and make it an x to the 4th. All right? Don't do more work than you have to, is what that's saying. With a leading coefficient of 1, okay? Basically, don't come out here and say, hey, I want to multiply it by 17 and have to multiply all that by 17 at the end, because that would still have these roots, okay? Don't make it harder than yourself. You could also say, hey, I want to multiply it by an x squared minus 38,000. And you know what? That would create 2 more roots to it, and it would also have those roots. So there's a lot of possibilities. This is just the simplest. That instruction at the beginning was simply saying, hey, make the simplest one you can. All right? That's what was going on with that. All right? See if I can erase that. So how are we doing with this? Give me a 5 to 1. 5, I got this. 4, I'm okay. 3, eh. 2, I'm lost. 1, please don't flip me off. Sweet. Want to do one more? Yeah. All right, let's do one more. Letter D. It's kind of one of those, this is one of those things. Okay, so here's the deal. Down here, was this part hard? No, it really wasn't. I mean, you got there's a lot to write, but what's going from here to here hard? No, going here to here might be a little confusing, but it's probably the hardest part. It might be very difficult to you from like, that wasn't so bad. So this one I kind of get. Here to there, is that really that bad? I mean, most of this is really not that bad. It is just a lot. That's what it is. All right? I get it. And again, like I said, the rest of the class is not going to be this long. It's okay. That's what pre-cal is for. No, I'm kidding. Pre-cal isn't that bad. All right, so here we go. Letter D, let's do it real quick. So if I got 2 and 1 minus the square root of 3, what other solution do we also have? 1 plus the square root of 3. All right, take a second. Write down your 3 factors. Take a second and write down your 3 factors the best you can. And I will do the same, and then we will compare notes. All right, so that's x minus 2. It's a minus right there. X minus 3. Pardon me. Oh, I left the recording going. Oh well, he'll survive. Right, now there's some poor soul on the other end. If they ever watch this, I don't know. Maybe nobody watches these. I really don't care. But it's going, man, will they get going? I'm just listening to this guy mutter about nothing. It's okay. All right, so are we cool with this line? Cool, what did you do next? Distribute the negative. Good. So, x minus 2, x minus 1 plus root 3.
x minus 1 minus root 3. And I'll clean that up. Good night. Okay. What did you do from here? Parentheses on the x minus 1. All right. So if I group that left side together, my next line, what would we put on the left?
X minus 1 squared.
Good. What would we put on the right?
Negative square root of
Close.
negative 3.
-3. We don't need the root anymore. The purpose was to get rid of the root. I know that is actually the most common mistake in this, is keeping the root around, other than just wandering around aimlessly hoping to land on something eventually, which that happens quite often as well. But here we go. What would you do next? Multiply the x minus 1 squared, which we already did above us. So why reinvent the wheel? Just do it again. X squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 3. Just look above you. There it is, if you wrote it down. All right, what'd you do next?
X minus 2.
You want to multiply the x minus 2? We can do that. We can absolutely do that. The difference is, if I do that right now, I'm multiplying by 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. Can we rig it to where we only multiply by 3 terms? How? Good. I can do 1 minus 3, which is what? Negative 2. Now multiply the x minus 2. So that's 4x, negative 2x squared, negative 2x, negative 2x squared, x to the third. I know I'm going quick because we all want to just stop this. Let the suffering end, please. Plus 2x plus 4. And let me raise that up as far as I can. Cool. And that is that.